Most people think they do not know what they want because they need more clarity, more time, healing, or more journaling, more long walks with a tea, pretending this is serious inner search. They think desire is hidden somewhere inside them, like a shy woodland creature that will eventually appear if the environment feels safe enough. Usually, that is not the problem. The real reason you never know what you actually want is that desire is dangerous. The moment you know what you want, something is at stake. You can lose, you can be seen, or you can fail. Maybe you have to rearrange your life. You can find out the relationship is dead, or the job is dead, or dream is dead, or worse, alive enough that now you actually have to do something about it. So not knowing becomes useful. Not knowing looks innocent. But a lot of time it is a beautiful little witness protection program for the self. If you do not know what you want, you do not have to choose. You do not have to ask. You don't have to leave or risk disappointment. You get to remain in this noble fog where everything is still possible and nothing has to be chosen or nothing has yet been required. And that fog gets mistaken for confusion. Often it is avoidance with good posture. This is why people can spend years asking themselves what they want, while carefully avoiding every condition in which wanting would become visible. They sit there like little philosophers of their own hesitation, making mood boards, reading books, waiting for the inner bell to ring, when really the whole operation is designed to prevent the bell from ringing at all. They are not lacking access, they are just managing exposure. Because desire is really rude. It ruins the nice story. It does not care what is practical or spiritual or balanced or easy to explain to your mother. Wanting starts pointing at things. It starts exposing what you are tolerating. It starts making your current life look like a compromise you dressed up as wisdom. And that is hard to forgive. So instead of knowing what we want, we often perform a whole ritual of almost knowing. We say things like, I'm still figuring it out. I'm in a transition. I'm trying to get clearer, which can sometimes be true. But a lot of the time, it is just a very well-refined way of remaining uncommitted while pretending something deep is happening. You can see this everywhere. Someone says they do not know what they want in relationship, but they somehow keep getting magnetized towards the same unavailable people. Someone says they do not know what they want in work, but they light up around one thing and then immediately explain why now is not the time. Someone says they are unclear about where to live, but every real move gets neutralized by timing, fear, image, and 17th respectable reasons why all somehow point back to staying exactly where they are. So this is not lack of desire. This is desire being interrupted, usually by self-protection. The funny part is how impressive the confusion can look. It can sound so intelligent, nuanced, and we become expert in our own indecision. We can explain every side, every fear, every variable, maybe even every childhood pattern. And we still sit there like someone mildly high in a beanbag chair, giving a 12-minute TED talk called The Complexity of My Situation, where really the main complexity is that waiting would ruin the current alibi. And because the analysis feels addictive, we confuse it with progress. We think we are getting closer. Often we are just getting more articulate about the distance. This is where people lose years, not because they are blank inside, but because the fog is functional. It protects the existing self from having to enter a reality where desire has consequences. It lets people preserve relationships that should be confronted, jobs that should be questioned, projects that should be started, or truths that should be spoken. I don't know what I want becomes the softest, nicest, least offensive way to remain unavailable for life. And once that line becomes part of the identity, it starts doing real damage. Now you are the unsure one, the searching one, the one in process. The one that cannot rush, and the one still listening inward. Maybe sometimes, but often this identity is just a well-dressed hostage situation. It gives you a reason to keep circling instead of landing. The offensive part is that wanting is often much less mysterious than people pretend. It is not always hidden. It is often there, embarrassingly obvious, but immediately disqualified. It's just too inconvenient, a little disruptive, too alive. So the person says they do not know, but they know enough to keep not going there. And that is the tell. Real confusion is one thing. Defensive confusion has a different smell. It gets activated exactly where truth would become expansive. Suddenly, the person becomes incredibly subtle and patient and mature, or full of context. The fog thickens right where something real would force a rearrangement. And that is why not knowing what you want is often not an informational problem. It is an exposure problem. The cell wants to know only if knowing remains safe. But safe wanting is mostly fantasy. Real desire destabilizes. It reveals that your current partner cannot meet you, that your current work is starving you, that the life you have built is not the life you would choose without fear, duty, image, or inertia sitting on your chest like a fat, emotional cat. That is also where the opening is. Not in finally getting perfect clarity, not in becoming some radiant creature who always knows what they want. The opening is in seeing that the confusion itself may be serving a function, that not knowing may be the mechanism keeping the current arrangement intact, that the fog may be not a curse, but a cover. Because once that starts to be visible, the whole drama around clarity changes. You stop romanticizing uncertainty. You stop treating confusion like a sacred weather pattern. You start noticing where the fog gets thicker, where it protects, where it postpones, where it lets you avoid. And that noticing already hurts because it removes innocence. Now, I don't know no longer sounds so clean. It sounding strategic and protective. But it is also where life starts creeping back in. Because once confusion loosens some of its glamour, wanting can appear in much plainer ways. Not as a grand revelation, more like a recurring pull. You keep talking over it. A simple truth that keeps dressing in complexity. An unwanted obviousness, something you already know well enough to keep avoiding. And that is usually how desire shows up. Not as fireworks, it's more like a quiet, repetitive inconvenience that keeps surviving your explanations. And when that cracks, something better than clarity becomes possible. less plausible deniability, less respect for the fog, less romance around the confusion that has been babysitting your life for years. Then desire stops being a cute self-discovery project and starts becoming what it actually is. A live wire running through a life that actually wants to move. That is the opening. And that opening matters because once desire is no longer treated like a problem to manage or a mystery to decode, you can finally see what your confusion has been protecting. And that is where the whole thing becomes more honest. If you want to go further into that exact shift, I get into it much more directly in my book, Wanting Illusion: How to Find Direction in Life Without Losing Yourself to Identity, Fantasy, or Fear. It's in the description.